Percy and the Cleaner. Thomas the Tank Engine had just returned from the works. It had only been a few weeks since a careless cleaner had messed with his controls, which had resulted in him rolling down the line and crashing into the station master's house. Although Toby sympathized with him, Percy thought it was very funny and always made sure to tease Thomas whenever he saw him. "Be careful out there today, Thomas," Percy remarked in the sheds one morning. "I'd hate for you to ruin someone else's breakfast." Thomas was cross. "Be quiet," he snapped. "It wasn't my fault. It was that stupid cleaner." "Now, Percy," said Toby firmly, "that's enough. I'll admit that Thomas shouldn't have been boasting like that, but you and I both know that that accident was out of his control." "Exactly," huffed Thomas. "So why can't you just let it go?" "Because," Percy replied smugly, "it serves you right for all that boasting about how you don't need a driver." And with that, Percy flounced out of the sheds. For the next few weeks, Percy wouldn't stop teasing Thomas. Thomas tried to ignore him, but his patience was wearing thin. It all came to a head one afternoon in the yards. Thomas was shunting some trucks when Percy came in cheekily. "Careful, Thomas," Percy remarked. "Why?" asked Thomas, confused. "The station master's house is right behind you," continued Percy. "If you're not careful, you'll push your trucks right into it and ruin his dinner, too." At last, Thomas lost patience, and he angrily let off steam. "Wheesh! How would you like it if it was you who had had that accident?" he snapped. Percy was undeterred. "Pooh," he scoffed. "That would never happen to me. And you know why? Because I am a sensible engine. I would never be stupid enough to do what you did." Percy raced away, leaving Thomas fuming. "Ooh, that Percy," he complained to Toby later that evening. "He's insufferable. I bet he wouldn't be so cocky if it was him that the blasted cleaner had messed with." "Don't worry, Thomas," Toby said calmly. "I'm sure he'll learn his lesson soon. They don't call this the Island of Karma for nothing." Thomas could only agree, but neither of them knew that Percy would be learning his lesson a lot sooner than expected. Early the next morning, the firelighter came to light the engine's fires for the day's work. Percy slept comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. Once he was done, the firelighter left. Unfortunately for Percy, the same cleaner who had messed with Thomas's controls had arrived to clean the engines. He cleaned Thomas and Toby with no incidents, but when he got to Percy, an idea had crept into his head. I think I'll take this one out for a spin," he said to himself. "I'm sure I've learned after that incident with Thomas." And with that, he climbed into the cab and pulled the regulator. Slowly, Percy began to roll forwards. He stirred awake, and to his horror, found that he was headed to the station master's newly fixed house. "Oh, horrors!" Percy cried. "Stop! Stop!" The cleaner saw what was happening and frantically tried to brake, but he couldn't find the brake handle. By the time he did, it was too late. Crash! When the dust settled, Percy found that he had crashed right through the wall of the house, just like Thomas had. The station master was very cross. "Oh, come on!" he shouted. "I just got this house fixed!" The cleaner stumbled out of Percy's cab and tried to run away, only he didn't get very far. "And just where do you think you're going?" Percy's driver asked sternly. The cleaner stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but he couldn't. Percy groaned. He didn't feel so clever now. Soon Donald arrived with the breakdown train, and the fat controller. "Percy, explain yourself," he demanded. Percy blushed, but before he could say anything, his crew came up with the cleaner in tow. "Excuse me, sir," the driver began. "Excuse me, sir," the driver began, "but I believe that this young man has some explaining to do." The fat controller was surprised. He turned to the cleaner. Well, he said. The cleaner, knowing the jig was up, sighed and explained everything. Needless to say, the Fat Controller wasn't pleased. I am most displeased with your actions, he boomed. Your stupidity has caused confusion and delay, not to mention a serious amount of damage to railway property. It is obvious I cannot trust you to work on my railway. You are fired. Ashamed, the cleaner walked silently away. A few days later, Percy returned from the works. Well, 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 chuckled Thomas. I must say I am surprised, Percy. I thought you were a sensible engine. Ah, well, live and learn, I suppose. Perhaps you'll know better next time. Percy was quite hopeful that there wouldn't be a next time.